Hello, this is Pastor Daniel from the Promise Church. I'm here with my brother Jacob San Miguel, and today is our focus on music, our Music Monday, and brother Jacob is the song leader for the Promise Church, and he's been doing an amazing job, and I'm going to interview him today and find out what it is that gives him his passion and his heartbeat for doing this. So how are you today, my brother?
Good, Pastor. Fist bumps.
Fist bump today. So, Brother Jacob, how long have you been here at the Promise Church?
I believe it's been pretty close to 9 years. It seems so fast, but I think almost 9 years.
That's a good while. And how long have you been singing here at the church?
I think when I first got to the church, it didn't take very long for me to, want to get involved and the first thing I did was join the choir, and so I think I've been singing in some role or another at least for a good 7 years, if I'm correct on my time.
Awesome.
7 years.
So singing, why did you want to be in the choir? Why do you like singing? I mean, all the things that you could do for God right now, why are you in the singing ministry?
I think that's, I always had a passion, when I was younger. I always, I believe it was God that filled me with that natural desire to just, surround myself with music. So growing up, I always loved music and wanted to have the loudest music but so the passion was there musically, and I think God, gives that to us. We just, whether we can sing or we can't sing, but naturally we just go towards music and we sing, and so God put that, I believe, in my heart. And just when it came to the church, it was like that's kind of where I wanted to help, and that's kind of where God had the door open for me, and then it just went from there. And I love to sing, whether I can sing or can't sing, but I've always, grew up with a passion in music and singing.
You're a great singer, and here at the Promise Church, I've always gotten a lot of compliments on your singing, and so that's a natural thing. Is that something that you used to do before church? Were you ever in a band? Did you do singing somewhere else, or have you only sung at church?
Pretty much just for, just here at the Promise Church. My dad, however, we did grow up in church, and so I know, at Life Tabernacle, I believe he was part of the choir, and so music and those talents are, they run in the family. So my dad sings, he plays the guitar. My brother Roy, now he was the rocker in the band and doing those things. Me, I wasn't a singer. I was an athletic person, so I played baseball and basketball, and that was my passion outside of church. But but like I said, singing was something that I would do, just not in front of anybody or anybody. So so never did it outside of church until I started going here, and then once I got in the choir.
So it's obvious that God has gifted you with this singing ability. Tell me, what is worship to you? I mean, what for Jacob is worship when it comes to singing to God?
To me, worship is just trying to set my heart and my affection on God. I know growing up in church, being on fire for God, and how, the help of worship and music and those things, how it would connect me, even at a young age, connect me to God. And so I want to be able to help people find that same connection through my worship. And me being the one who's up there, in the front and the main one singing or whatever it may be, I'm trying to not only sing the song the way it's supposed to be sung, I'm not only trying to make sure I'm on time and those things, but I'm also trying to find my place with God in worship, because that's what it's all about. And so if I'm not worshiping, I feel in spirit and in truth, and I feel like maybe they're not going to, the congregation won't be able to worship as well. But so that's when I think of worship, is just me trying to connect with God while I'm up there, while I'm singing, whatever it is that I'm doing, and then hopefully that can spread out to the congregation, and they can feel the same presence that I feel while I'm worshiping. And so it's just trying to be a sacrifice to God.
Is there a difference between worship and singing?
Yeah, I believe.
So explain to me, because I'm not a singer. So all of my stuff is pure worship. So what is the difference between worshiping and just singing?
Well, I think there's, you can tell, okay, I'll give a good example where we can take a Christian song or an old hymn, and you can watch or you could see somebody sing it. And I would say by singing it, they're not worshiping, they're more performing, right? And so you sing a song, you watch, American Idol and all these things, they're singing to perform, but, and they do a great job because they got trainers, they got coaches, and so their singing is like spot on, immaculate, perfection. And a lot of times when, especially in my case, I don't have that perfection in singing and those things. So I just try to give my all by worshiping the Lord while I'm singing, but in a worship manner. And so it doesn't have to, I know it's not going to be perfect, and I know I'm not going to be spot on in everything that I'm doing, but because I'm not there to sing or just to perform the song, but I'm there to try to, give God the glory in the song that I'm singing, not just sing it to be, clear and perfection,
Your dad, you mentioned him earlier, Brother Oscar. He's one of the elders of the Promised Church. He's a man of God, and he's a good friend of mine. Tell me about his influence on you musically.
Yeah, why I believe that's where it comes from. At a very early age, I can remember my dad, strumming the guitar, singing, and I have this one real vivid memory that. My neighbor, he used to go to the school that my son goes to, HSPVA, and he used to play a saxophone. And so that used to be one of my favorite instruments. And I can just remember, like, one night, my dad just sitting out there strumming the guitar, and my neighbor was there with a saxophone, and they were just playing music, and it was just like a beautiful thing. And so it's like, my dad has a big influence, just growing up and seeing him being a worshiper and playing music. And so I think that instilled in me at an early age, that love for music, and that not love just for music, but even at a young age in worshiping, and so I'm blessed that God did touch my life real early in that part. And so I know my dad was a big role, and I mean, he's still playing and worshiping now.
Tell me, when you are singing and leading worship at church, what are you trying to accomplish? Do you have like something that you want to have happen while you're leading worship?
Well, my desire is just to know that whatever song we pick and however we're playing and however it's being sung, that somebody's life is being touched. And I know that's why God, gave us music, because, if we're worshiping in one mind, in one accord, and God is surrounded in that worship and that praise, then I believe, God can do something miraculously in those times. And so my hope and our prayer every time before we go up and sing is that, Lord, just use these songs to minister. That's what that's the purpose, so they can minister to somebody's brokenness or what, that's why I feel like it's important to sing songs that have certain meanings, words that mean something, because when you're singing those songs, the words are going to reflect to, your feelings or what you're going through and what God can do for you. And so my soul desires just that people can don't focus on the song or who's singing, but just be able to focus on the Lord and let the song minister to their heart and just kind of, you know, heal their brokenness or whatever it is, give them encouragement, whatever it may be, but that it ministers to their spirit more than anything.
Who are some of the musical influences or the singing influences in your life that kind of help you to develop your own gifting and your own skill?
Growing up in Broadway at Life Tabernacle, a lot of those songs, the older songs, they really stuck with me. And recently I found one on Spotify. It's actually called Judean melody. It's like a Judean chorus, and so it's like sing unto the Lord a new song. And that song just those songs really just stuck with me. And you know, growing up, besides the secular music, you know, I never really had I was a Natalie Grant or some kind of the only people that I knew in Christianity singing were the people that I heard at church, you know, at Life Tabernacle, and those songs really influenced me personally. And so I love to hear those old songs and those old choruses, and so it's like that song, I think it was in the 80s, 81 or 82, but you know, I still put that in my, you know, my play box or whatever and play it, and you know, that's kind of just those old songs.
Let me ask you a question. Do you get nervous singing? I mean, you do this all the time. You sing for us here Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night, are singing for Celebrate Recovery on Tuesday, you stuff on Friday. I mean, you're always up in front singing all the time. Do you still get nervous?
I'm nervous now. I don't get as nervous as much as I used to, but at the beginning, you know, it's so much easier if you're just singing in the background, you know, nobody's really paying attention. So it's a lot easier and comfortable, but once, you know, you start making your way towards the front and having to be the main vocal or the main, you know, leader trying to lead everybody else, it is very nerve-wracking. And for me, because I didn't grow up singing, I feel, you know, the Lord led me here. It wasn't my choice, but God put me in a place, and for me it was very hard and nerve-wracking at the beginning, you know, being, you know, standing in front of the whole congregation and worrying about how I sound and am I doing a good job. And so there was many times where, you know, I would get so nervous I couldn't, you know, concentrate, and the problem was that I couldn't allow the Spirit of God to flow either. And so if I'm not right up there and the Spirit of God is not flowing through me, then it's kind of hard to help the congregation, you know, also, you know, feel the Spirit. And so for a long time I would get nervous, and you know, it was nerve-wracking, but I never gave up, and thank for my pastor who never gave up on me as well. But over time, I guess I started realizing that, you know, it's not about me, or like we're saying, performing or those things, but it's just giving it all to God and trusting in Him that this is another avenue where I know I need to give myself completely and fully to God so that He can do what He needs to do and He can be glorified. And so now I don't get as nervous. The only times I'll probably get nervous is when I see somebody new in the church, or somebody, you know, shows up from out of town, or that's kind of, you know, the only time where I might get a little, you know.
Or James Wilson or Sharon McKee popped in the service, and one of the big singers. What tips or advice do you have for our listener right now, a viewer, that maybe they're not in the choir and would like to be, or they're in the choir, but their hope and dream is one day to lead the worship at their church?
Well, I believe first it just starts with the desire, and
What desire?
a desire to serve. And I believe most people don't get into singing or in the choir because they feel, oh, with my voice, I really, I sing off key and those things. And so I don't want anybody to feel discouraged. I would be like, no, God gave you a voice. He gave us an instrument to worship and praise Him, and not to be discouraged. If you have a desire to sing, if you find yourself singing in the car, worshiping in the car, worshiping in the shower, singing at home, well, then you have a passion and a willingness to sing. And so, don't be discouraged, be encouraged, and just give God a chance. And I believe with, good help and just practice. For me, that was a big thing, just practicing and practicing. If I'm going to sing a song, just, play the song over and over, sing it repetitive till, it's like the Word of God, We don't get the Word of God in our heart by not reading the Word. We have to read and study. And so the same thing with music and singing and songs. Just sing it, get it in your heart, and it'll make it easier. Find yourself a good group of people who are willing to help. And so, because at our church, we're continuously growing together. None of us are professionals, and I think that's one of the things that I love, that we're constantly growing, and you can see the growth through the dedication and the hard work. So that would be my main advice. Just have a desire and get in a church choir, and just start in the back, and you never know where God's going to lead you. But you got to start somewhere.
Awesome. So the song that Jacob is about to sing right now is one of my most favorite songs. I'm glad he chose this song to sing for y'all. But when you hear Jacob sing right now, just worship with him. Let God come into your heart, and let the purpose of worship really come into your life, where you get connected to Jesus. Thank you for being with us today. Thank you for sharing this moment and allowing Brother Jacob to pour out his heart and to give to you his passion for singing. And you've not seen the last of him. God has great things for him. Not only is he one of our singers at church, he's also one of our preachers at our church. And God is doing amazing things in him and his family. Thank you for being with me, brother.
Thank you, Pastor.
Love you, brother. God bless you.
Love you too.
Jesus at the center of it all. Jesus at the center of it all. From beginning to the end, it will always be, it's always been you, Jesus. Jesus at the center of it all. Jesus at the center of it all. And from beginning to the end, it will always be, it's always been you, Jesus. Oh, Jesus, there's nothing else matters. Oh, nothing in this world will do. 'Cause Jesus, you're the center, and everything revolves around you, Jesus, you. But Jesus, be the center of my life. of my life. From beginning to the end, it will always be, it's always been you, Jesus. Oh, Jesus, nothing else matters. Nothing in this world will do, Lord. 'Cause Jesus, you're the center, and everything revolves around you. Jesus, you. And from my heart to the heavens, Jesus be the center. It's all about you. Yes, it's all about you. From my heart to the heavens, Jesus be the center. It's all about you. Yes, it's all about you. From my heart to the heavens, Jesus be the center. It's all about you. Yes, it's all about you. From my heart to the heavens, Jesus be the center. It's all about you. Yes, it's all about you. 'Cause nothing else matters. Nothing in this world will do. 'Cause Jesus, you're the center, and everything revolves around you. Jesus, you. Jesus, be the center of your church. Jesus, be the center of your church. And every knee will bow, and every tongue shall confess you, Jesus. Oh, Jesus, 'cause nothing else matters. Nothing in this world will do. 'Cause Jesus, you're the center, and everything revolves around you. Jesus, you. At the center of it all. At the center of it all. At the center of it all.